Hello everyone. I'm really excited to show you the update on the Butterfly plugin for Revit. This is an add-on which is used for data visualization within the Revit. So basically you can create different charts and graphs from your Revit schedules. When the Butterfly plugin is successfully installed, it's going to show up on the tab menus here, and then you have to see the three comment buttons here. The main one, which we're going to start with, is the generate chart. So simply open a sheet that you want to place your graph there and then click on this button. This should bring up the window. The very important thing about this window is that we move to WPF rather than traditional Windows form. So it's much more convenient. You can adjust different areas of this window to see the things better. So it's really customizable. And also it's quite fast in terms of rendering the graphics. The window composed of three main sections. One section's on the left, which deals with the input data. Another section's on the right, which basically shows the graph or the chart and the parameters which control the different aspects of that. And then there's a little status bar and the create button over here. You can always keep an eye on this status button and see what is going on with your settings and your parameters. If there's anything wrong or you have to fix it, or you're allowed to build a graph. So we start with the data or with the input, and the first thing you have to do is to choose which Revit schedules you want to build your graph based on. Um, in this little window here, you can see the list of all available schedules. From those, you can pick one, and once you pick one, you're going to see the columns of that schedule in the window below it. The next thing you would do is to pick the columns for your graph. You need at least two columns. One is going to define the labels in the graph, and then the other one should provide the values for that label. So if you look closely to these column names, you're going to see some labels next to each column name. The one that shows 1, 2, 3 next to the column name indicates that this column contains numerical values, so that can be used for value in here. And the other ones, which shown as ABC, that indicates that these columns contain string value or text value, so they can't be used as a value column. Then therefore they can be used either as a label or as a group. We're going to talk about the group later on, but now we're going to just draw a graph based on a label and a value. I'm going to pick the first schedule here, the planting schedule, and then the type mark, which indicated by ABC, is a string value. I'm going to use it as a label, and the count, which basically refers to the count of the trees in from that type, has got this 1, 2, 3 sign, and that's a numeric value, so we can use it for the value. As soon as you provide these two inputs for your graph, you can see the data is driven from this schedule. And each label is randomly assigned to a column. Now that we have provided the data for our graph, we need to pick the graph type. And you can see now in this new version of Butterfly, you can actually see a glimpse of the graph and how it looks like. And for instance, I'll go ahead and pick the donut shape graph. And then immediately I can see the graph in this preview window. This preview window is quite advanced. You can actually zoom in it with your mouse scroll. You can pan just by holding down the mouse scroll and moving the mouse. And then you can also pick the different part of the graph and then directly change the color from there. And that's quite amazing because it makes it quite flexible. And whenever your chart is not within the extent of the preview, you can simply double click on it and it just zooms to that extent. Above the preview window, you have these different settings of your graph that you can change. There are essential settings, which are actually they're very specific to your chart. For this particular chart, I can control the inner radius, so I can just change it. I can also control the outer radius, and I can also control the gap between the different parts of chart. And if it's not convenient with for you to move these sliders, you can actually double click on them and then set the value um, just by entering the numbers. So let's say you have a 30 millimeter. This is in my case, it's millimeter because I'm using millimeter as a units inside the Revit. If you have different settings, you will have different units as well here. And I'm going to make the outer radius, let's say 40 millimeter. And I'm fine with the gap now. Most of charts are provided with legend. So if you want, you can click on this display legend, and then you can see there is now a little legend here, and you can define where you want to place the legend, on the left, on the top, or on the right. You can also say if you want to do the legends by group or by the items. Right now we're not doing any grouping, so um, we can ignore that. And then you can also control the font size for the legend. So you can increase that. You have control over the spacing. And basically this gives you a full control over the legend. You can also control what can be displayed on the chart itself. Uh, so instead of choosing to have a legend, for example, you can have the item value and the item title right on the graph. Um, or you can also control whether you want to show this black border around the shapes or not. So I prefer to not draw the black border, it just looks better. The colors option is for you to decide whether you want to have the different colors for each part of, for each item according to your table here, or you want to just use same one color for all. And this is usually takes the first color of your schedule here. And lastly, you can adjust the size of the text that you are actually using inside the chart. And you have two options. You have the font size, which is used for the items, and the font size, which is used for the groups. Right now, the group font size is irrelevant because we're not, again, we're not grouping, but I can actually control how the item is shown here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just use uh, the, the label. We'll just show the label. I think this was here. Display item title, and don't want to see the value of that. And also you can keep that text orientation so it's always horizontal. But in this case, I want to just follow the rotation of the items within the chart. So I can make that a little bit smaller. So I feel this is a good looking chart now, but I'm just not happy with the colors. There are different options to style your chart basically. Here you can basically randomize all the colors and see which one looks better. Um, the other options will use sort of similar colors for the chart, so it makes it a little bit um, monotonish. So you can randomize and then click on this and see what how this looks like. The options you have here as well, which is very interesting. You can use a gradient. So the first and last colors are fixed, and then the intermediate colors are interpolated within those two colors. So this actually looks really interesting and looks cool because the kind of colorate with the values which are referring to. Now that I'm happy with the way it looks, I would like to place this chart on the sheet. You have two options for that. You can actually create a Revit family, which is very interesting because you can edit the Revit family. It's quite flexible. You can add things to it and um, change it as you want, or you can actually place it as an image in the sheet, and this will be literally a screenshot of what you see here. So, and it's basically available from Revit 2021 and higher. I will just use the Revit family, but the create button is still grayed out and I can't use it. And this is because I have to still enter a valid name. The valid name is the name that you can use for your Revit family. So the same rule applies here. I'm gonna just say this planting graph. And now create button is enabled, and I can see also the status bar says ready, and this means that I can go ahead and create my chart. So let's create the chart. It takes a few seconds because of the creation of the Revit family and so on, and then you can place it on your sheet. Press twice the escape button, you're back to the window. Right now, let me close that window. Let's have a close look here. Um, if I double click on this, it takes me to the Revit family here. And you can see all these are generated by using the field regions, and it's just like you are doing the Revit family. All right, so let's go back to our Revit project. Let's say you have worked on your Revit project and the data which was used for the chart has already been changed. For instance, for this, because this was a planting schedule, let me just go to the site plan. And let's say I take that tree and then I'm going to increase the count of that particular tree by copying it more on the side. So we have now changed our data which we used for the chart. The chart, which is done by Butterfly, can be easily updated. To update this chart and sync it with the new data, you simply click on either update all charts or update selected chart. So I'll just have one chart here. So for me, going to just update all. And it just takes a few seconds for Butterfly to regenerate the family and then load it again to the project and then update the instances. And I have the updated chart, as you can see here. You can also change the chart, how it looks after you create it. So simply you open the butterfly window and then choose the chart that you want to edit from there. And then simply change the chart and pick another one or change the colors. And you basically do whatever you want. And then click on the update. So now instead of, as long as you're using the same name for your chart, this button will update the same family with the same name instead of creating a new one. So you can click on the update and now the chart has been updated. Some of the chart may offer also you to draw or display a grid. And to do that, you can simply click on the display grid and then this will draw a grid over your chart. So that would be easier to read the numbers. And then click on update and you will get your grid on the graph. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to create the chart and how to group different things together in a chart and create more complex and more interesting charts. So till then, enjoy using Butterfly. Thanks for watching.